Let's see, let's go into your render settings. And scroll down so I can see what they're set to. Or lower. Okay, so it's set to 1K square, so it's not film gate. Let's go to resolution gate instead. Don't change anything there. Just, yeah, there you go. Resolution gate. Okay, and now we need to change the aspect ratio. So we are going to be rendering out a movie, so we don't want to do this. So make it 720 HD. So this is the regular HD TV aspect ratio. And if you guys want to, you can make it a little bit smaller. We do that because it'll be faster to render. There's no such thing as smaller than this. It's not a thing, other than I'm just being nice and letting you render a smaller picture so it's less space. But what we can do is open up the render view without rendering anything. There's a little button right under Tools. Yep. And don't render. I just want to see how big stuff is. So if you go here under the, I think, Options, and then Test Resolution, and it does some great math for you. It says 75% of that is 960 by 540. So if we want to render out 75%, which is, it's 75%, then there's no drop down to find that, but so you'd have to know the math in your head, but I don't. So I'd go into there, and notice that it says maintain width height ratio at the top. It's checked. That means you only have to remember one number. So if you just type in 960 and then hit enter, and it automatically does 540 for you because it's locked to that format. Then we need to set how many frames this is. So it's let's scroll in our timeline. So get these windows out of the way. That one too. Make it go bye-bye. And scroll in the timeline. So that's the camera for our animation. And you can see at a certain point it just kind of freezes. So for now, later on when we have the boy, he'll be doing something even though the camera's not moving. There's not much point in us rendering out the frozen camera because we can just freeze the frame and move it across. So I think it's around 250 where it stops moving. Go back. 200. Around 200 is pretty much where it stops moving. So you guys can render just 200 frames. So you need to put that into your render globals. So go to the render settings or render globals and make it 200. And then also look at the camera, renderable cameras. So this is really important. So, have you guys ever made color copies before or something? Where you have to go in and it costs like $1 per copy, right? And this has happened to me, maybe it's happened to you, where you're like, okay, I need 50 color copies. You hit 50, and you hit go. It starts coming out. And it's the wrong side of the paper and sideways. And you're thinking to yourself, $1 gone, $2 wasted, $3 thrown away, $4, $5, $6, $7. And you're like, stop, cancel, because you're just losing money. You're bleeding money, right? And this is the same thing with the render. If you just go, okay, I'm going to start a render, walk away, I guarantee you when you come back, it'll be the wrong camera. You have to throw it away. Just like if you just hit, that's why you take your copy paper, you line it up, make it exactly right, do the best you can, hit one copy, look at it and go, okay, then you hit 50. So don't just hit render 200 frames and then find out later that you had Bearcam selected, so it renders out 200 pictures of the same thing, right? Also, and maybe even don't even just render out one picture, maybe render out, I don't know, 10. Come back and look at it and go, oh, it looks like it's going good. Because you also could do something like, if you have the naming conventions wrong, So it's not doing 1 through 200, it's just going, I will make one picture, like let's say your naming conventions are, let me break your naming conventions for you. So change the naming output, go up to the top, change it from name.numbered extension, which is right, to single frame. There. And what that means is it'll go, I will render out one picture once. Now I'll render it out and delete it and render it out again, and then again, 200 times. And I'm happy to take up your CPU power to do that, right? And you come back and you're like, I've only rendered out one frame, what's going on? Right? And so that's why you also want to see, if it's going good, now I can go have lunch, or whatever. So it's really important to check that kind of stuff so that you don't have bad problems. Also remember too, maybe you could get away with, okay, I've got 20 minutes before class starts and here's my render. Well, you can't do that if you want 200 frames. You got to plan ahead and think, okay, if I want to have 200 frames, I render out a couple frames and I see they take this long per frame to render out. Okay, what's that? If it's per frame, takes 7 minutes to render out. What's 7 times 200? And then divide that by 60, because that's, you know, that'll be that many hours, and you then can think, okay, and then also plan in, and something's going to go wrong, so you need to make that twice that. So you need to plan it all out. That's part of your job, to think through that kind of stuff. So switch it to name.number.extension. Good. And PNG is right. You got linear lighting on, set it to 200. Go down to the camera. You got that correct. The camera there is correct. If you like, you could even go and delete those other cameras because you won't need them again. And it might be confusing. Save it out as version 2 or one more version than it is, so you can have the old one if you want to go back to it. But we're only going to be using this camera from now on. And the other cameras were just sort of a temporary thing. And it might be confusing to have them in there. I think that's